Hello, my name is Liam Neely, and this code turns video into music. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the video right here, and I am separating it into all of its individual color values of red, green, and blue. Then I'm adding it all together to get the average amount of light on the screen. So if it's a really bright screen, that probably means that there's a lot of red, green, and blue values. If it's a really dark screen, then there's probably not a very high amount of red, green, and blue values. And then I'm turning this light into the actual pitch of the note. So if it's really bright, then it'll do a really high pitched noise. If it's really low, well, if it's really dark, then the pitch will be super low. Then I'm setting it to a baseline of 40 so that's the lowest note it can hit so it doesn't get too rumbly. And then I also set it to a max value of 110 so that it doesn't get too high pitch. Then I'm taking the audio just from the surrounding area. So if I was pointing this at like traffic, then if the traffic is like really, really loud, then it will make all of the notes really loud. So this changes the dynamics of it. And then here I'm taking the darkest value out of all three. So out of the red, green, and blue values, whichever one is the lowest will set the tempo of it, which changes the frame rate of the thing. And it runs on how fast frames go. So if it's really bright, the frames are kind of faster. But if I cover it up and it's darker, then the frames won't go nearly as fast. You can see how that the bang thing right here is moving slightly slower whenever I cover it up. And that is the basic portion of this portion of the code. Then whenever we go on to the actual note making portion of it, I have it so that the main pitch will just come from everything we just talked about. So the velocity and the pitch will just be, that's the main, you could say, melody sound of it. And then over here, I have it so every single 10 notes that are played, a harmony note will be played, which is just the note an octave below. Or if it's too low, then it'll just play the same note, but it'll be a more drawn out long sound. And then over here, I have it so this portion will play the drum samples that I chose. Right here decides the percussion value that I'm choosing. So from my samples, I have 4 different samples. And this portion of the code right here is choosing which of the 4 samples to use. So it's just random which one will be used. And then this portion right here decides when it will be played. So if it's 7, then it'll go through 7 ticks before it plays again. If it's 10, then it'll go through 10 ticks. If it's 1, it'll go through 1 tick. And then that gets sent to Ableton. All of these get sent to Ableton. To use 3 different instruments to make all of this. Because Max is a little bit weird and only likes to send 2 outputs. You can only really send 2 outputs because it doesn't like messing with channels. But the way I got around that is I used the same output for the percussion aspect and for the harmony aspect. Because the harmony values only go so low. Like if I were to play a really low note on the harmony, you can't really hear it that much. But if I have just set my drum rack to play my 4 samples at that point, then you'll only really be able to hear that. So that kind of creates a separation there. So I can just hit like which one did I set to? Yeah, right there. Because that's really low, and so the harmony, you can't hear it there. And then just for like the main melody note, I decided to just go with just like an electric piano sound because I kind of like the sound of it, and I thought it fit pretty well. Thanks for listening, and yeah.